Tina, I got it recording, buddy. All right. So I am going to, are you a co-host, Tina? Let me see if you are. I'm going to make you a co-host. Boom. We're going to get cracking. We love starting it out with numbers here, just seeing who went out and protected families from the week before. So we're going to celebrate that here for a second. So you guys just bear with us here just a minute. We're going to bring up week of March 12th through the 18th this past week. Congratulations to everybody that went out there and made it happen. And one thing I want to celebrate here, I love doing this, folks, before we get into app counts and all that stuff, is actually, we'll go to the first leaderboard, Tina, if you will. Click on.
Hang on.
Top 3 app count from last week. Let's go ahead and do that. We've got Brian Howell with 8 applications. Way to go, Mr. Howell. Always strong on that, buddy. Number 2, Daryl Brown, 9 applications in a week. That is awesome. I've always said if you average more than an application a day in the business, you're going to be all right. So is this Jordan Oliveris, Jordan Gillum? Who is this?
Jordan Gillum, sorry.
All right, good deal. We got more than one Jordan now, so way to go, Jordan Gillum. Way to go, buddy. I think getting ready to take her vacation, a much deserved one. 10 applications this past week. Way to go, Jordan Gillum. Proving that it's possible. And thank you, Jordan Gillum. I know you've hosted a couple of dial sessions this week. We appreciate you, lady, for doing that. Adds a lot of value to our organization, and thank you so much for that. And while doing that, you wrote 10 applications. Just meaning if you go do work in front of other people, tends to help you get it done too. So way to go, Jordan Gillum. Super proud of you, lady. 10 applications this past week. All right, on to the next one, Miss Tina. And before you click on the first one there, I want to go ahead and really celebrate anybody that wrote over 3,000 or more this past week here with us. We had Christian Miller, 3,459, Betsy Barr, 3,498, Cameron Miller, 3,786. Joe Slavinic, 3,800. DJ Robinson, 4248. Elijah Carujo, 5,854. Andy Valentine, 5,992. Troy Stevens, 5,999, right on that $6,000 mark. And Alice Eon, 6,309. Way to go, Alice. Sounds like a pretty new agent right there. All right, get into our top 5 for this past week. We've got Mr. Mark Newbauer. We'll go Mark Newbauer, 7,800 this past week. We've got Daryl Brown coming in at number 4 with 8,043. Jordan Gillum, strong week, 10,432. Way to go, buddy. 434, sorry if I can read it right. And number 2, Mr. Brian Howell, always strong on our leaderboards. Way to go, Mr. Howell. Him and his Gonzaga Bulldogs are doing well, 10,471. And number 1, Mr. Val Zarn. Dude's always in the desert. How's he write that much premium, Tina? He's like always in the desert, like every day in the desert. 11,952. Way to go, Val. That's awesome, buddy. Good week, brother. All right. And I got a little feeling that you hadn't seen anything yet from this Zarn group. I think this week's gonna be a special week for them production wise too. I think they got a couple big cases out there. Agents that did 10 or more interviews this past week. Tina, is this correct? You confirming this, Tina? Are you validating this? Jake Schaefer, Joe Martinez, Jeff Billman, Jared Gillum, Brian Howe, Jeffrey Miller, Martin Newbauer, Ben Bilal, Samantha Case, Cameron Miller, Sharon Casanova, Betsy Barr, James Martinez, Andy Valentine, Christian Miller, Dan Keiderling, Barry Davis, Steve Devine, and Rocco Pearson. Way to go, everybody. Love seeing so many names on that leaderboard. That is some good stuff. And hey, if everybody else wants to join us on that leaderboard, we'd love to see you on that leaderboard. We know how important it is and vital to your career here. Congratulations to everybody that made it. And we encourage anybody that wants to do 10 or more interviews in a week. We're going to give you some tips on today's call, how to get it accomplished. And we think that'll make a big difference in your business if you do it long term. So good stuff there. Agents that wrote their first application this past week. Way to go, Nathaniel Brown. Way to go, Nathaniel Brown. Where's Nathaniel Brown? Direct to Betsy Barr, 1,391. Way to go, Betsy. Betsy just opened up her new office at the 1st of March. I talked to her this morning. She said it's already making a difference in her business. And love hearing that, love seeing it. I'm looking for Betsy Barr. She'll become an agency owner before you know it. Way to go, Betsy Barr. And way to go, Nathaniel Brown. Top recruiters, and Betsy's team's already off to a good start for this week, from what I'm hearing. Top recruiters this past week, we got, and Tina, I know you got all the abbreviations, so I'm gonna let you give who all these people are.
Okay, Cameron Miller, Ben Belisle, Jake Schaefer, Brandon Child, Betsy Barr, Joe Martinez, Jeff Billman, Matt Costa, Val Zarn, and Rocco Pearson.
That's a pretty good little group right there. I love it. Way to go, everybody on that board. And Brian Howe, Troy Stevens, Sam Case, all at 2. Way to go, everybody on that one. Jared Gillum, way to go. Guest on our call today. Not mysterious why. Way to go, Jared Gillum. 3 recruits this past week. Way to go, buddy. And Mr. Jeff Miller. It's always Miller time around here, Tina. If you look at our leaderboards, if you guys want to know who's making it happen, look at our leaderboards that I posted last night, month to date. If you have any question that recruiting is very key and vital to this business, take a look at Jeff Miller's recruiting, take a look at his organization, and see how they sort of go hand in hand. I'm telling you, really good stuff there. Jeffrey Miller, 4 recruits this past week. Way to go right there. Good stuff. All right, Miss Tina, that's a good week right there. That's some good recruiting week right there. Top agencies this past week. We've got the Miller Agency. Well, I think this is it coming in? Here, we'll start with, how far down are we going? The Gillum Agency at number 3, 15,117. We got number 2. Newbauer Base, I think that was 18,000. Just go back a little bit for me if you can, Tina. Just backspace. Perfect. Newbauer Base. Way to go, Newbauer Base. Keep in mind, his base shot outside of his Martinez leg, which is huge, they still did 18,999. Way to go, Mark Newbauer, and your base, buddy. That, sir, is awesome. Love seeing you on that leaderboard in there. And number 1, the Miller Agency, which is part of the Newbauer hierarchy, 45,545. Way to go, Jeff Miller, and that agency. Just know how recruiting and that correlates, and getting people, not only recruiting, because a lot of people say, well, I recruited. Well, did you get them to take leads? Did you get them to engage in dial sessions? Did you get them on a call with you? Did you get them on this call with you? Because engagement is part of that ingredient, and Jeff Miller and his organization just leads that, along with his 2 key leaders, Brian Howe and Troy Stevens. I'm just telling you, that is certainly a key to their growth, and just, it's pretty awesome to see. Way to go, Jeff Miller. And he was the number 1 overall agency owner in all of Symmetry Financial last week, and probably will follow it up again this week. So way to go, Jeff Miller. Super proud of you and Kimberly. That's good stuff, buddy. Good stuff. All right, top agencies in building. Newbauer and Martinez Base, 1 recruit. Our base, yay, 2. Number 3, Zarn. Way to go, Zarn Agency. I see you guys recruiting. I like it. Gillum Agency, 4 recruits. Way to go. And Miller Agency, 13 recruits this past week. It's not only that they're running it up, they're really starting to run it up. So way to go, Miller Agency. Super proud of you guys. That's awesome. Tina, if an agency owner wants their name to be called out here, what do they got to do on the start of Monday to be able to have their name called out on here?
They must email me with what they want announced.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
By
Also,
9 o'clock in the morning.
Right. If they want their recruits announced, they email you that to you before 9 a.m. on Monday. Remember, guys, that's always been the standard we held to. So just make sure, if you want your name called out on there, you want your team's name called out on there, just make sure you send it in. We'd love to call your name out and brag on you. That's certainly where it comes. But hey, that's 17, 20, 22, 23, 24. Man, great week in recruiting. We all got to patch into Jeff Miller and what he's doing, because whatever they're doing it and doing it well. So we go, Jeff Miller and that team, that entire team. So good stuff there, buddy. That's awesome. All right, Tina, is that it on that leaderboards? Well, thank
That's
you.
it.
All righty. Well, Roy, let me scroll through here. All right, so Jared.
Good morning.
Morning, sir. How you doing, buddy? Where you guys headed to this week? Y'all are going somewhere.
Yeah, so we normally try and do a bigger trip around this March, April time because Jordan's birthday is at the end of March, my birthday is at the end of April, and we have our anniversary in the middle of all this. So Jordan has never seen a redwood or a sequoia tree. So we're going to Yosemite National Park. So that'll be a blast.
Yosemite. I like it, buddy. When you guys head out?
We'll be heading out Thursday morning, and then we'll be back
Nice,
Monday.
buddy. Hey, I love it. And you're building a business so you can create income even while you're enjoying the redwood forest. And That's awesome, man. Well, cool, buddy. Well, man, I appreciate you being on the call with us today, and super congratulations on your continued success in recruiting. Love to see that, my man. That certainly is good. And I know, and this is something for everybody on here to understand and know. So I sent a text out to all of our agency owners, key leaders. I believe it was Friday or Saturday morning, maybe been Saturday morning. I apologize. And I just asked them and said, hey, what do your teams need? What do your teams want to be trained on? What are some of the things that you guys are looking at? And you and Joe Martinez responded, and I certainly appreciate you guys with that. And just know if you're a part of an agency owner out there, send them a text, give them a call, and let them know, say, hey, this is what I would like to be trained on this call each week or something. And just know that we will address it. We want to get, hey, if you need something trained on, we want you to know we're paying attention to it. And we want you to know that's where our heart is to make sure that we make the most out of this 30, 35, 40 minutes together. To be able to make sure. So if you guys have something that you're like, hey, I'd love to see Chris or Jared or Jeff, somebody train on this particular topic, just send it out to your agency owners. And so let's get that taken care of and get you guys the proper help you need. And Jared, I almost screwed up before I go to you, buddy. You stay on here with me, man. That way, if I mess anything else up, you can get on to me. I think we had a couple of news and notes that I wanted to cover here just before I get into some of our main topics today. I think I did. Let me see. Yep, I did. News and notes. We've got an upcoming meeting this week, guys. Southeast Regional meeting in Knoxville, Tennessee. So if you've got an agent within 4 or 5 hours, it's going to be me and my wife. We're going to be doing a corporate overview. We've got Betsy, Paul Sharp helping us out with On the Phone, In the Home. And we've got DFL presented by Betsy Barr. Me and my wife are going to teach you what we've learned in 18 years of building a business in this industry. We're going to do a little building 101. We're going to train you how to build a business if that's what you want to get out of this. Also, we're going to train you how to run appointments if that's what you want to get out of this. If it's a combination of both and you want to be agency owner, you want to make an extra 100, 250, 500K a year type of income, fly into the meeting. You with me? We can teach you how to do it. Anything from $0 to $640,000 a year, we can teach you how to do it. You just got to be willing to plug in and apply what we're going to teach you. That's Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And do I think it's worth a flight to get here? Yes. If you're going to apply it to your business, I absolutely do. If you're not, if you're just going to come, smile at me, take notes, never apply it, don't waste your time. Stay at home, eat the bonbons, and just don't do it. You know what I mean? Love you too much for you to waste your money. So that's this Wednesday, 11 to 1. We got my man, Val Zarn. You heard him on the leaderboards. Made $188,000 with us last year. He's going to be training, teaching, and I think Jeff Miller's going to be there. Jeff, you let him know in the chat line if you are, you're all right. It's no worries either way, buddy. It's from 12 to 2 in Southern California. I believe it's Irvine, California. So if you're doing 4 or 5 hours, if you're on the West Coast, if you're willing to plug in, and remember, the number one agency owner in all of Symmetry Financial right now is Jeff Miller, right? Is Jeff Miller. So if you get a chance to ever get in front of Jeff Miller, I encourage you to do that. Encourage you to, both Troy Stevens and Jeff Miller will be there. Thank you, Jeff Miller. I appreciate you, buddy. So Troy Stevens, Jeff Miller. Troy Stevens is one of the fastest growing key leaders in our company, and Mr. Valzarn's all going to be there. So make sure you guys are plugging into that. That's 4 or 5 hours out on the West Coast. Yes, I would get there. It's from 12 to 2. Val or Jeff, if you will, repost to the website today. It's part of our events calendar. It's on our website too, the location stuff there. Location stuff is on our events calendar for the Knoxville meeting from 11 to 1 this week as well. We also have at 10:30 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, the Max Day call. Jared, I know certainly you've been a big part of recruiting. Has the Max Days call helped you and Jordan in your business and in recruiting and maybe philosophies on it and some of the how-tos? Has that made any impact, buddy?
100%. So even before, like, good news, literally yesterday I got 15 emails and I'm like, what is coming through my phone right now? And it's people booking interviews for today onto my calendar. So we have those Max Day ads up right now. But before that, even before we had that whole process set up with him, we were just on those calls and we were just listening to the little bit of like marketing guru that he is, right? Kind of advice he was giving us. And stuff that I was implementing before we even got into his whole system was amplifying, probably getting interviews on the books and more candidates in that pipeline, probably by 20-30% by just implementing little things that I was kind of listening to on his call. So yeah, no, incredible. 100%
I love it, buddy. Hey, I love it, man. Makes a big difference. Hey, I hope everybody's continuing to read the book of the month. It's The Happiness Advantage, Sean Acor. I'm telling you guys, make sure you're plugging in, make sure you're reading that, because this right here, I do 10 pages a day before I start my day. Huge in my business. Jared, is this something that you've implemented in your business, in your life that has been
100%. Yeah, me and Jordan actually sit down and hang out with that in the morning on coffee. So yeah, it's a good.
I love it.
It's a good little routine.
Hey, couples that read together, dream together, and are happy together, right, buddy? So good stuff, man. So I love it, my man. That is good stuff. Just continue. You know, that's just part of that daily dose of awesomeness that we want to give you guys. I'm going to ask another one of our business partners here and amigos to unmute. Joe, you out there, buddy?
Yep.
Man, I appreciate you being on the call with me. Yeah, man. So, you know, I just want to start out with you and Jared. Thank you guys both for contributing back to the group and giving us something to train your teams on today. And certainly we're going to sort of roundtable the heck out of this. We're going to start with you, Jared, because I loved your stuff that you were talking about. Is just, you know, those invisible ceilings that we all put on ourselves. So explain to us, Jared, what you mean by that, and then maybe some ways that we can implement to really overcome those type things.
Absolutely. So I know I definitely had one when me and Jordan very first started here, because when we first came into this business, and I think we're like, Symmetry is constantly breaking those ceilings. Like, you know, before when me and Jordan first started here, I think, like, you know, if somebody wrote 2,000 APV in a day, that was an amazing day, right? That was great. Now we have
a statue out front in your honor, buddy.
Right. I mean, now it's like 15,000 is like, I mean, I don't know, you may be number one, you might not, right? Those ceilings are constantly getting broken. But I know when me and Jordan first got here, we already set those ceilings on top of us. And on top of that, I think the two things that kind of coincide with that is when people initially get into this business, if they haven't been in a position like this before, the ultimate freedom that we have coming into this, you know, this isn't a 9-to-5, you don't have to clock in, clock out, right? So like having that freedom and like setting that goal for yourself in a week and being like, all right, I want to write 4 apps this week. And you write 4 apps and then it's Tuesday and you're like, okay, I did what I had to do. Now I can take the rest of the week off. But like, I think the crazy thing that me and Jordan realized was when we were on that kind of roll and we were writing applications like that, our posture was so different going into the next home. So if we didn't stop and just sit at that ceiling and we're like, all right, well, we wrote 4, so that was our goal, so now we're done. If we went into the next home and then the next home, the only thing that we're worried about is helping that family. We've already covered our expenses. We've already made our money, right? We're already good. So our posture going into those next appointments, into those next homes are incredible. And I want to tell you that 9 times out of 10, if we ever wrote just a huge application, it was after we were pushing past those ceilings, because our posture was so different when we were originally going into homes or even on Zooms now. So when we're showing up in front of these families, the posture that we have is so different because we're sitting there just caring about the family, and they can feel that 9 times out of 10. Like any person that you sit down in front of and all you're doing is just caring about the family, you know your money's good. You're not looking at that family like a dollar sign. Like you need to make sure you get your lead money back from them. You're not looking at them to make sure that, you know, you can pay rent coming up. Like if none of that is on your head, cell phone bill is paid and all that, then the posture that you have sitting in front of those people is incredible. And they can feel that every single time. I don't care who they are. Everybody can smell that from a mile away. And those are the people that are going to sit there and be like, this person took time out of their day to make sure that my family is okay if anything, the worst were to happen. And unfortunately, that's not an if, that's a when kind of day, right? And we're helping them out with that. They don't want to talk about this. We don't love talking about it, but we do it, right? And so when we are sitting there and we have that fun kind of mindset and that posture, I mean, that the possibilities are endless. And I know personally, like the biggest paycheck that me and Jordan ever received coming out of this business was Jordan went to an appointment right after I got her a puppy for her birthday. And she went to that appointment, like not all dressed up, right? Like she was like ready to go hiking. And I took her into the city and she's like, where are we going? And I'm like, it's a urban exploration hike. Don't worry about it. I surprised her, got her a puppy. She's bawling. She goes to the appointment. I mean, not looking super professional, right? But the posture that she has is like, I just got a puppy. Nothing can ruin my day. So what do you guys need help with? Let's get this figured out. And she wrote like almost $500,000 annuity in that home. Like obviously that family could tell she didn't show up there for money. She showed up there to just help the family and then get back to her puppy, right? Like that's what she was there for. So like, I swear that posture that you have when you go into those certain appointments, it's crazy. Once you break past that ceiling, you know, and you get past that 4 application mark and you push past that, then when you start seeing those people in leaderboards writing 64 applications in a week, I guarantee you they didn't sit at their ceiling. I can promise you that.
That's good, man. That's good. That's like, I remember when I first started here, I was like, most I'd ever made, I was 32 years old when I started in the industry. And I was like, most I ever made in a year with a college degree was 42,000. And so I remember my dream, like, man, you could have just give me whatever you want. But if I was to make 75K a year, I would like, that's Shangri-La. That's going to be the business. I'm going to be awesome. And hey, just shut the front door. I'm going to be good with life. If I could make that, I figure I'll be enough to do whatever I wanted. And I know, I'm not just talking about money. I knew what money could do for my family, meaning I knew I could have more time if I had more money. I knew I could have more experiences if I had more money for my wife and my boys and all that stuff. And I just remember I would do the same thing. I would run appointments and I would make $1,000 in a day. And what I would do is self-sabotage myself. I would stop working because I'd reached an invisible ceiling in my head that I'm not worth more than that I'm not worth more than going out there and going beyond that right there. So I started self-sabotaging myself. The only way I broke that pattern in myself and for my life and for my family was I started reading books. I'm telling you, I started reading books and I started reading 10 pages a day. And it just told me what other successful people in business had done and how they thought and their thought process and how they thought differently. Because everybody around me in my life would have just congratulated me, said, great, you've done well, take off the rest of the week, right? They would have told me to do that. I would have self-sabotaged myself right out of this business had I just listened to people in my life at that time and not read the books and took the book's advice about how to keep going and press through those invisible ceilings, Jared, that we all tend to put on ourselves. And, because this is a multi-trillion-dollar business. So literally you can write your own paycheck. That's what's awesome. Also, the bad part is, guess what? You write your own paycheck, right? It's also the worst thing in the world. Some of you are beginning to realize you're the own CEO of your company. Some of y'all need to fire yourself this morning and then rehire yourself about a minute later and say, I'm not going to do it that way anymore. And that's what happened to me. Don't get me wrong, Jared. I have hired and fired myself about 35 times over the past 18 years in this business. And probably about another 10, 15 times just in the 8 years I've been here at Symmetry. So it's okay. We're not beating you up for the decisions you made in the past. We're not looking at the past. It's what you do with your future that matters. And so I would just encourage you guys to really start to think, what are some invisible ceilings that you're putting on yourself in your life with your activity? Because number one, it usually manifests itself, right? In activity, right, Jared? You know what I mean? Like if I hit my appointments or my what I was looking to make that week in 8 appointments, I would just be like, oh no, I'm going to take off. But the system says 15 appointments a week. And I would take off, and then I would start to see it manifest itself 3 or 4 weeks down the road where I wasn't where I needed to be in my bank account. And then I had choices to make. I was like, man, well, I don't know. Is this working out for me? And then I started looking back, Jared, and I was very honest with myself. I said, well, they're telling me to run 15 appointments a week, sit with. And if I'm really honest with myself, every 6 weeks, I was running about 8 or 9 appointments. I was good enough to make some money there, but not good enough to get off the roller coaster that wears people out.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then once I said, you know what, I'm not going to negotiate with success. Success doesn't negotiate. It has a price you pay, and either you pay it or you do not. It is not a negotiation, right? It is not negotiating with you. When you wake up each morning and you face success or failure, keep in mind, if you want success, it does not negotiate with you. It says there's certain principles that you must do to be able to be effective in this type of industry or business. 15 appointments a week is one of those keys. And I'm telling you, for me, Jared, that was a breakthrough. And do you think Jordan saw a breakthrough when she really started to embrace that?
Oh, 100%. I know personally, like, so for both me and Jordan, I know when Jordan, when we would sit down, and we actually just had a conversation a couple of days ago, that was one of those like icky stomach conversations where we're up in investment into this or doing something to where, when we're looking at those kind of investments, right, and we're upping them. Like, I know me and you had a conversation before where Chris was like, well, Jared, if you want Jordan to up these investments, it sounds like you might need to get her another puppy or something. Maybe we need to do something to push that, right? It's too funny, actually. I just got another person book another interview on my calendar. But I know that when we were pushing past those, I know Jordan was in such a better headspace when she pushed past those ceilings and was sitting down with more of those families, and the posture that she had. Again, like I'll say posture 50,000 times on this call. It's everything when you push past that ceiling and you stop yourself. I mean, I know that when we were sitting down with you, Chris, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm shooting to get this many recruits a month. And you were like, why? And I was like, well, that's the best I've done so far. And you were like, but Jared, I know you're better than that. You can do better than that. Like, why don't you shoot for 25? Why don't you shoot for 30? Right. And so when we start having those conversations, I think it's so easy to get locked under that ceiling, because it's like, well, it's the best I've done. That's the mark. That's the mark that I need to hit. Right. But it's like, it's a glass ceiling. You can blow past it so quick. And once you do, on the other side of that, I know we say it every single time, like when we're coaching new agents, on the other side of 15 appointments sat is incredible profit within this business. On the underside of 15 appointments, it's kind of a toss-up, right? But on the overside of 15 appointments sat in a week, incredible profit that comes into the system. It's insane.
Yeah. I know, and I love that. And I know Jordan, you can even speak to this, and Joe, chime in on any of this, buddy, if you hear any of this that speaks to your heart. Is Jordan a couple of weeks ago, like, she had a tough week. She was running over 15 appointments, set with over 15 people. Here's what we know, though. Here's the key. It's the reason we say every 6 weeks, sit in front of 15. Because see, now this week, what it manifested itself was an over 10,000 10 application week. Because remember, it's the continued process, right? SFG's word of the year, continued process of doing the right things over and over. And what manifests itself here is great results, not good results, great results. Right. So she struggled a couple of weeks ago, ran her 15 appointments, just didn't happen. Right. But she kept running 15. And guess what? 10 applications, over 10,000. And then you start to look at that on an every 6 week, follow-up through this business, and you
Right.
start to realize, oh, the look back period, I'm really making that much money each week. It's just some weeks I have to fail a little bit more in order to get it, and some weeks I don't. And the incredible part is, we all can really, like I said, write our own story with whatever we're looking to do. Joe, you got anything? Do you want to add any of that, buddy?
Yeah, it just reminds me of Brandon and Casey were talking about it a while back ago, and it's when your peaks become your valleys, right? And being able to break through it and pass your own ceilings, right? Because they're all invisible ceilings, right? It was something I saw when I first joined Symmetry, right? Even in our organization, whatever everyone was writing in business, I was looking at the top leaderboards in the company, right? I'm like, that was one of the first things I saw. I'm like, well, if they can do that, why can't I? And then just show me the process, right? Like, what do they need to do to hit so I can get to that peak, right? Because if I fight, right, I love what y'all just said about Jordan. You'll fight to get to the peak, and then it just becomes a valley. And now you're on a whole nother level, right? And then now you're looking at a bigger peak, right? And you continue to build that as you go. And that was just something really cool that all the books really taught us, right? It is stretch yourself, stretch your mind, and stretch what you can really do. Because something that I know as a new agent, and that I see a bunch of new agents, and I did myself, was set your thermostat, right? Because also that was in a book. And if your very first week you got 0 appointments, that's fine, right? But you learned how to dial 1,000 dials or 500 dials, whatever you did. But next week, just do a little bit more, right? More dials, set more appointments. And then it gets to the point where you start breaking your own records, right? Weekly. So you got to track your peaks and your valleys, right? So every week, if I was able to book 5 appointments this week, next week, my goal has to be 6 or 7. Like, no matter what, it's unacceptable as running a business. Because if y'all remember any business y'all ever worked at, any job, the managers, if you weren't the manager or the business owner, they were always tracking their numbers, right? It was always like, well, last month or last week we did 15,000. So this week we got to break, we got to hit 16, 17,000. That's just how a business operates, right? And we all have to remember we're all running a business. So if last week I was able to book 5 appointments, this week I have to better my business and book 6 or 7. And it's amazing of how fast it grows, because it's just 1 week at a time, right? And I always talk about Jeff Miller, because me and him would go back and forth, and I love where he's at right now, right? Just the #1 AO, he's just growing, and everyone's like, oh my God, Jeff Miller's just perfect, right? And I'm like, well, me and Jeff had a lot of conversations about, I can't book 10 appointments. Like, he was like, this is impossible. No, this is crazy. This doesn't work. And I'm like, just beat last week, right? And he was like, okay, I got 8 last week. And then it was like, hey, I got 12 this week. And I'm like, perfect. Just don't go backwards, right? So if your body mentally knows and physically knows what it takes to book 12 appointments, do that again next week, right? And the next week it was 15, and then it was 20. Once he was past 15, I knew he would never book less than 15 appointments again. And it was funny, because once your body knows what it feels like to book 15, 20 appointments, and your mind knows what it feels like, I don't care what leads you have, Chris, 50-cent leads or $1.50 leads, old A, whatever batch of leads you have, if your body mentally knows, right, your valley is now 15 appointments, you're booking 15 appointments, and you're booking them in like a day. It was incredible, because it used to take Jeff, right, and all of us, it would take us like all week to try to get to those 15, 18 appointments. Now it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a dial session. Boom. Oh yeah, I booked 7 today, or 7 in these 2 hours, and I'll call a little bit later today, and boom, I got my 15 for the week. And it's like, but the thermostat is set there, right? And it took time to build it, but you always have to beat next week.
Yeah. And I remember, me and you and Jeff, we sat down and had a conversation. We were like, I was like, so Joe, you used to work as manager at a restaurant. How many hours a week did you put in there?
60 or 70 hours.
And I was like, Jeff, so you used to work over at, you used to run a farm agency over there. How many hours a week did you put in there? Right. And then, he's like, all right, and he told me the hours is a bunch of hours. And I said, all right, there's only a few things here that actually produce income. And new people, write this down, right? Write this down. Because some of you are like, if you're broke, let me help you here, right? There's only a couple of things here that actually make money. One, making dials to set appointments. Two, running set appointments. Three, recruiting. Don't overcomplicate it, folks. If you're not doing one of those three things after you get off this call, hey, nothing's changing, right? Nothing's changing, right? Nothing's changing. And
I
here's
love
the
that,
other
Chris.
part you have to be honest with. Hey, let me talk about this. And Joe, I want your feedback on this. The other thing that I talked to him about, I said, so if that's the three things that make you money, then let's quantify time into those three things. 35 dials in an hour, we measured it if you were doing it manually, and it's like 45 to 55 dials if you were doing it via the
Ninja dialer.
Ninja dialer, yeah. 45, 55 dials an hour. That's quantified 1 hour of work. 35 dials equals 1 hour of work. So write that down, new people. Veterans, you can rewrite it down if you've chosen not to do it because you're negotiating with success. And number two, every appointment you sit with that you run an appointment on counts as an hour of work. Now, with that quantifying your actual work, and every interview you do will give you 15 minutes of credit for that, or heck, if you want to count 25 minutes, that's fine with me. Count 25 minutes every interview you do. Now see if you're working a 40-hour work week to create income.
Oh, it was embarrassing for me, right? I was like, Chris, I'm talking to so many people and I'm working. I'm in my office from like 7 to 7. I just can't. And we did this math, right? And out of a 60-hour work week, I worked 18 and a half hours.
Right.
It was like, when I did the math, I didn't even want to say it out loud to you. I was like, this is embarrassing.
Dude, I know. I did it on myself. Hey, it's the same thing, man. Like, I wasn't saying it to y'all to be like the first person I had to say it to was me. And, it's just that realization, Joe, that I think a lot of people need to hear, because you gave your boss 40, 50, 60 hours a week, which was building their dream, their future, their yachts, or their new cars. This is you. This is your business for you and your family, whether you're part-time or you're full. It's something you can create whatever income. We know in this group it can go from 0 to 640,000 in a year, right? Which is not too shabby. I'm just letting you know, but you get to choose it. Here's the key though. You're choosing every week with your action. You are choosing. You're either choosing to head north on that scale, or you're choosing to stay the same, or you're choosing to go backwards. But remember, success doesn't negotiate with you. The price is the price. You have to pay it. And if you don't want to pay it, you don't want to pay it. If you do want to pay it, it's a pretty simple process to do. You just wash and repeat. And if you do it, I promise you it'll make a difference.
Hey, Chris,
Jared,
and on that process, right, of breaking of non-negotiable, something that because I was lost, right? I was like, hey, I'm putting in 60 hours. How do I fix this non-negotiable money-making activity? And the good thing is we were reading the book, Eat That Frog. Yeah. All right. And let me give everybody the tool, right? That made our peak a $1.5 million organization, right? That multiplied everything we did. And it was Eat That Frog, the book, Eat That Frog. And it's a very simple step, right? And if you go through Summit, they have it. It's called what was it, Jared? In the Summit, that form that I was talking about. You remember?
Oh, wow. Dang, now you put me on the spot. Now I feel really bad, Joe.
Anyway, so in Summit, it has six things to do, right? But in Eat That Frog, it's really just starts with the first 3 basic things. And I love it because 3 things make us money in this business. And it was simple. Do the most important thing at the very beginning of your day so that you eat that frog and get that out of your way, right? Because I was lost, right? I knew these 3 things make me a lot of money, Chris, but I was still like, well, I got to talk to a new agent, or I have to read the new, the new underwriting on this new policy that came out, or I have to read book of the month, or I have to do this or that, right? And my schedule was all over the place. It's super simple. You start your day, right? If you do your workout, you read your book, all that gets knocked out. But when it's time to work, which is 8 or 9 a.m. here in the West Coast, we get to do it at 7:30 because of the call, right? But as soon as you say your workday starts, your first, right, especially as a new agent, your first frog is your dials. Like that has to be a non-negotiable. You cannot be, hey, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to dial later, right? It just does, later never comes. Oh my God, how it never comes. It's insane. Right. And then run your appointments and then run interviews, right? Yep. Like for a new agent, that has to be y'all's order. You should be done with your day by 4, right? Because it's only 3 things you really have to do. And if you're done by 4 by dialing your 200 dials, book 6 appointments, or if you have your 15 plus appointments, you're set, or you run your appointments for today, then the rest of your day, you can either build, go read all the material you want, or watch all the training material that we can possibly have out there. But you cannot do any of that, right, Chris? Because that was the first thing you taught me, was without eating that very first frog. And for all of us, it's always dialing.
Yeah.
Well, and I love
it's so true, buddy. It's so true. It's like,
oh, sorry.
Because I know I had 2 little kids. I had a 4-year-old and 1-year-old. Go ahead. No, go. Sorry, buddy. Sorry. My bad. Delay over here.
Sorry, Chris. So all I wanted to point out is the fact that, like, I know when I was first talking, when Chris, you talked about a ceiling or that temperature gauge, right, of what we were talking about. I didn't think I had one, right? So if anyone's on this call and listening to what we're talking about, like breaking through ceiling, and you're like, oh, I don't have a ceiling. No. We all, like, we right now have a ceiling, right? And the only reason you don't know that ceiling is because you're not tracking your business. So if you're not tracking your business, you don't know what you have to go through, that glass ceiling to break through. And if you're not doing that, then you're constantly under it. So I just wanted to point that out. Like if you're thinking you don't have a ceiling, no, we all do. So just track yourself to understand where that ceiling is so you can break through it and you can get better.
Amen to that, buddy. That is good stuff. And it's just, we're all looking to evolve, right? And I loved what Joe said. It's just as important to do the 10 interviews either on the end of that or whatever, to make sure you're getting 10 plus interviews a week, because we all know that the long term and the long process profitability in this business will be enhanced for you and your business if you do that. It'll help you get raises. It'll help you build something that's permanent, not temporary. And I'm telling you, it'll be a huge blessing. It'll help you help more people. Couple of things I sent a challenge out to my base shop. I said, hey, any questions you guys have, and Jared, you and Joe helped me with this. I wanted to send a thing out to them. And one of the questions from one of the agents, I just want to see what you guys say to this. What to do when the insurance policy that you help customers apply for is denied? And so, Joe, you were one of the best issue paid agents that we have in our organization. I think in your history of issue paying, and certainly this is a critical component for anybody looking to get raises, is issue rates. Because if you have a good issue rate, it's pretty easy for you to get a good raise. Joe, what was, like, I think your record, like, you blew me away by this, by the way. New agents, listen to what he's getting ready to say. You were like 72 for your first 72 applications issue paid, correct? Am I wrong there? Is it 72 for 72? What was it?
81.
Some crazy number like that.
81.
81. So I short sold you, buddy. So 81 for 81. So folks, you're talking to somebody that's above an 80% lifetime issue rate, and he knows what they 240,000 his first full year here at Symmetry, deposited in his bank account on his personal pen, driving to appointments, driving 50,000 miles in a year, driving to appointments, not calling them up, setting appointments that way, which we all have the advantage of not having to do anymore. So I just want to get your feedback. So say you got a client decline, what do you do next, Joe?
You rewrite it instantly. And and to make it just super simple, right? Because I knew I came into this business super humble, Chris. I was like, I'm an expert in the restaurant business and I know nothing about insurance, but I love the mentorship here, right? It was like, I'm going to learn from people that are making 100K plus. And I kept it super simple. Just tell me what I got to do. I love checklists. Tell me exactly how to do it and I'll go do it. And it was super simple. Mark sent me over the applications for Term Life Express, American Amicable, and their accidental. And he goes, look, if you can answer these all no's, it'll get approved, right? And then an American Amicable, these you can say no to, and it says right there, right? If they say yes to this, it'll go here and this. He goes, just follow these instructions and they're going to get approved. I was like, that's super simple. I can do that. And that's exactly what I did. So every case I had, I just made sure in my phone script, I followed it. It was like, you got to ask, right? Heart attack, stroke, cancer, this, blah, 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 wrote all those questions down or all those answers. Then I put the application right next to it. And I said, nope, this one doesn't going to qualify. I'm going to have to go with American Amicable, right? Or, yep, this one will qualify for Term Life Express. I'm going to write Term Life Express. I kept it that simple and basic. Like, you can call the carriers and do all this underwriting and go find all these crazy products, right? But all that's going to do is spend a lot of your time and not get you paid and not get the client covered, right? I kept it super simple. Mutual of Omaha, American Amicable, and now that we have SBLI, you can use SBLI. But you do a really good phone script, stick to the script, and you get all the answers. And then you just put it next to the application and say, can I answer all these, especially if it's Term Life Express? Can I say no to every single answer? If I can, it's approved, right? And this is still before instant approval, because now I love that question, right? What do I do if I get them declined? Now you can write the application. And when you hit submit, before I hit submit, I had to wait 4 or 5 days, right? Now, if you hit submit, 95% of the time, guys, it says no, they're declined, they're declined or they're accepted. If they're declined right there and then, you have the ability now to say, hey, okay, hey, you know what? This insurance carrier didn't like something they saw. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to go to this next carrier. I'm going to go ahead and fill out the application right now so we can go ahead and see if they're going to cover you. Instant, right? Because what I see, if you let that time span, right, the emotion is gone. The same thing. If you get a decline, you have to write that application. Like it's a game, right? Boom. Oh, they got declined. Nuh-uh. I made a promise that I'm going to cover this family and I'm going to keep it today, right? Before I had to wait a couple of days. Now, right now, if I'm writing business, Chris, and they get declined, which very rarely happens because I do really good underwriting, I'm going to rewrite them today, right now, because all I have to do is make the phone call and say, hey, you know what? I went ahead and filled out the application because you already have all their information. The new price is going to be this a month. I'm emailing you the signature. Go ahead and sign that. And we're going to see if this one takes care of you. Boom, like that. Technology, right? Embrace the change.
I love it, buddy. It's so true. You just, hey, I'm telling you, embrace that technology, embrace that instant issue. And then if they get declined, no worries. Remember, keep your promise. I love what he said. Keep your promise and go back and rewrite them. That's the reason 80% of the people that I got declined, I would rewrite. But I would rewrite them like that next day or whatever, but I would always rewrite them that quickly. And it helps because it just shows you truly do care about what you're doing and you're smart with your business, because keep in mind, them getting declined is not a you and them thing. It's just they got declined. Now you just go get them approved because they're still looking for cover. All right. So last thing, and go ahead.
No, I was just going to add at the end that a misconception of a rewrite is everyone's afraid because the price usually goes up because you have to change carriers, right? Because they've been declined. A very big misconception of a new agent is they think they're going to tell them no to $10, $20, $30 more. They're more excited about that next yes, because you've taken it away from them, right? And people want what they can't have. Talk about taking it away from them. They went through the whole process. They went through underwriting and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this coverage for $59.99. And then, nope, you've been declined. They're like, what? And it's like, hey, we better go ahead and submit this right now. It's now $79, right? And they're like, yeah, no, let's go ahead and we need this coverage, right? They now know and come to the realization that they've been sick or something's wrong, right? And it's not as easy for that next yes, guys, is the easiest yes. You already have all their information. They've already agreed. trust me, $20 ain't gonna break nobody. They're ready to go. So I just wanted to throw that in there because I think that's usually the biggest misconception that I gotta call them back and they're gonna say no to $10 more. Nah, they're super excited.
I love it. Yes, absolutely, buddy. And that's beautiful. And guys, keep in mind, a lot of people just fret and worry. And if you don't have a 75% or more issue rate, it's because you're not getting back to them quickly. And just take a little time to underwrite them correctly by looking at those yes, no questions, because they're simple knockout questions and they'll really determine whether or not your client's going to get approved or not. But just always make sure, follow up with what you said you would do if they do get declined and go back and get them written. So Jared, Joe, any last things before we leave the team for the week? I think that was some good stuff for them this week.
Nope. I think if I added anything, I'd be taken away.
Yeah, no, it was,
I love it, buddy.
Jordan texted to me, the Ivy League method
Ivy League.
Ivy League, yep.
in the summit.
Yep.
That's
Ivy
a
League.
great form to use.
It is. It's beautiful. Well, guys, we pray we added value to you guys today. Keep in mind, this is here for you. If you have a topic or something that you want us training on, please send it out to your AOs or your key leaders, and know this call is designed to help you guys each and every week. And we pray you get the most content out of it to go out and put in your business this week, because we know beyond a shadow of doubt, and I'm talking to everybody on this Zoom with us, if you will do what we are teaching you to do and follow this system, and you do it consistently and persistently over time, you'll get whatever it is you want out of this industry and this business. I promise you that. And we're all dedicated to helping you as long as you meet us halfway with your work and your attitude towards that. So everybody have a great week. Let's all go get it. See you guys. Thanks.